it's effort. It's in here. Like you got to take it personal. And that's one of the things I try to stress to kids. I'm not a my bad guy. Your guy scores, we know it's your bad. It has to be personal. Like if you score on me, that's got to bother me a little bit. And if it doesn't, then we got to find somebody else who wants to take on that role then.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Please believe it or not, I'm still a cream of the crop. I was just until the age of 18 on the charts. Wasn't even dreaming this far. Believe who you are. The sun doesn't even know it's a star.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is awesome for me because my guest isn't just a respected coach. He's a good friend, a fellow Kutztown University alum, and someone whose teams I've always admired for a long time. Matt Coldren and I both played at Kutztown, not at the same time, but long enough to know what the program stood for. Toughness, accountability, and a belief that defense travels. And if you follow high school basketball in Pennsylvania at all, you know that Matt has carried those same values back home to Wilson High School. This is Matt's 25th season as head coach at Wilson. He's the school all-time wins leader, entering this season with a record of 432 wins. He won 6 Berks County championships, 4 in the last 6 years. And in 2020, he led Wilson to the program's only District 3 championship. He's been voted the BCIAA Coach of the Year the past 2 seasons, which tells you a lot about the respect he's earned from his peers. But today, we're not just going to talk about wins and championships. I've always known Matt as one of the best defensive coaches I've ever been around. His teams are tough, disciplined, connected, and consistently elite on that end of the floor, year after year, no matter what personnel he has. So in this episode, we're going to dive into what actually sustains great defense over time. The principles, the practice habits, the scouting decisions, and the culture behind it all. Coach Coldren.
Hey, Wayne, what's up, brother?
Nothing, man. I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you having me.
So listen, I want this to be like a coach-to-coach kind of conversation because I've always respected the way your team's defended. So we'll start there. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. I just like talking to you. You're a good dude.
And I like talking to you. When people talk about Wilson basketball, defense is usually the first thing that's mentioned. Where did that identity come from for you?
I was fortunate, Wayne. I played for a great coach in high school, Reggie Weiss. And he kind of instilled in us at a young age that defense is how you're going to win championships. So it really started there. Our philosophy of how we, I don't want to say stance, how we organize ourselves to start is very different from everybody else. And I developed that from him. Like we're open all the time. We see ball and man all the time where a lot of teams close off on the wings. We don't do that. So my philosophy really started with him. But I added my own stuff to it out of force at Kutztown. You mentioned earlier that you and I both played at Kutztown. So the first month I'm on campus at Kutztown University and we're doing workouts and I'm seeing guys do windmill dunks and, just crazy athletes. And, they're all 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", and here I am, 5'10". So I quickly figured out, I got to figure out a way that I'm going to get myself on the floor. So that became me just being tough as hell and just trying to defend everybody as crazy as I could. I was the guy taking charges at open gyms in the fall at Kutztown, and players getting mad at me because I was taking charges and I was diving on the floor all the time. But it's what got me on the floor at KU. I wasn't wowing anybody with my athleticism. It allowed me to have somewhat success when we played the Westchesters of the world. And I remember my freshman year, we're playing Westchester, and they had a really, really fast guard by the name of Ricky Hicks. And I remember on the scouting report, it said that left hand's a little shaky, but he didn't need a left hand. He was so fast, it didn't matter. It was just those days that really instilled in me, if I ever do want to coach someday, I'm going to have guys that aren't super athletic, and we're going to have to figure out ways to be competitive. So that's where it really started for me.
Man.
Just those days from high school with Coach Weiss and then developing that attitude at Kutztown.
It's crazy because I didn't expect you to go that far back in regards to your philosophy. So you take your high school time, your college time, you've been coaching for 25 years. Yeah. And so your philosophy, has it changed over time or better yet, what has stayed the same?
So the principles have stayed the same, Wayne. I'm never going to sway away from the fact that if you can't defend people, you can't be successful in the long haul. You see it in the NBA. You have NBA players who have off night shooting. High school kids are going to have a lot of off night shooting. You have got to be able to defend people so that when you have those nights, you're still giving yourself a chance to win. So that principle has stayed the same. Our basics of our shell defense, realistically, if we're doing our shell defense the way that I want us to, we've had it happen a couple of times where teams think we're actually playing zone because we're in help defense right away. We're always open, communicating, ball and man. Mm-hmm. So those things have not changed for me at all. What has changed is through encouragement of my assistants and stuff. I was stubborn when I first started coaching. Mm-hmm. It was strictly man. Like, no. I don't care if that guy's faster than you. We're not switching. We ain't playing zone. Like, you're going to guard that guy. So I have adjusted to that. We do now switch at times. We do it strategically, which a lot of teams I don't think really do. Either team switch everything. We switch based on personnel of us and the other team. I do like to sprinkle in a little bit of zone, but I'm still not a huge fan. My assistants are still trying with me on that one. I just have a hard time with zone because, and I'm going to probably anger some people with this, a lot of the kids that play for me play AAU and play zone, and it's not good zone. You know, it's a lot of the teams that those kids play for, it's about getting up points. And I think our kids get lazy in zone. If you're going to play a zone the way it should be done, I think it's harder than man-to-man. Communicating and just the effort that is needed to defend well is higher. But yeah, it has definitely changed for me with, like I said, 20 years ago, you never would have seen me switching defenses and things like that, and we are now. So
there's a couple things. One, because I don't want to forget, we got to talk about open, because I don't know that everybody understands what that means, so I want you to elaborate on that. But also, I want to concur about what you said about you being strategic in how you switch. We were texting the other night, and I was saying how I could never figure it out. When we played your teams, for the most part, you did not switch, but then sometimes you would switch, and we're not going to say when. And, it was one of those things where it seemed, I knew it wasn't happenstance, but I also couldn't figure out exactly when it was. And so it was hard for us to take advantage of any mistakes that your guys made. But I wanted to note that because I was like, yeah, man, this dude's always tricking. He was tricking me, at least.
Love it, talked about that a little bit. But with the open stance, as basic as I can make it, like if we are at the half court where the basket's behind us, the guys on the right side of the floor, they're leading with their right foot up, open so that they can see the ball.
Yep.
That way, if they're making a steal from the right wing, they are stealing it with their right hand. And on the left side of the floor, the exact same thing. But like if the ball is up top, we have our wing guys who are defending on the elbow, and we're all quick enough that they can get out and close out quick enough. But we want a guy with the ball to see multiple defenders. That way, we've played many teams over the years who we knew one-on-one, we couldn't check that guy. However, if he caught the ball and he immediately saw three guys, our hope was that he was going to get rid of it right away. So we are open, and like I said, it almost should resemble zones a little bit. If you are 2 passes away, you're in the paint. Because I don't know if I've ever coached a kid who is in the paint and can't close out from the opposite side on a skip.
Right.
So we try to boggle up the lane as much as we can. But that's basically what the open concept is. When guys pass, we don't let them cut in front of us. We cut them off with our rear end so that they're cutting behind us. And people have said, well, doesn't that lead you to getting beat backdoor? And the answer is no. If my weak side guys are where they're supposed to be, it's an easy steal for them.
Yeah.
So that's basically what our open, when we say we're open defensively, is what we are.
I've watched you play the past couple of days before this recording, and that was one thing I saw was, you make sure guys cut behind you, and there were no backdoor cuts. And the one team you played, I won't say, they were good at trying to get backdoor cuts, but you got 2 steals I saw on back-to-back possessions because of that, and it was because of the help defenders.
Truth be told, sometimes in those teams that we play that we know like the backdoor, when we have more seasoned kids, like last year, I had a very seasoned group. We could teach them to bait the other team and let them think that we didn't know what they were doing. I don't know if I would go that far with the group we have this year. We have a lot of inexperienced kids, great kids. They're just not there yet. So we don't want to overwhelm them with too much information because that could actually hurt you.
Yeah.
You're giving them too much depending on the personnel that you have.
Yeah. You were talking about, well, actually, I want to talk about defense in your adjustments that you make. Do you lean more towards scouting and in-game adjustments, or more rely on your core principles that you believe in year after year?
I think all of them, Wayne, to be honest with you, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Huddle has been an amazing thing for us. Just scouting. It is so much easier to scout today than it was for me 12, 15 years ago. I mean, I know 12 or 15 years ago, I'm not really sure how my wife did it because our kids were young then. I was out of the house all the time, and we'd have practice after school, and then I'd be driving to Central Dauphin to scout Central Dauphin, or I'd be going to Elizabethtown or going to Cedar Crest, or just traveling all the time and writing paper notes down. Where today, I leave practice, I come home, and I turn on the computer, and I could watch Central Dauphin play 3 games in one night. One of the things I'm not very good at as a coach is I'm not an X's and O guy. I have assistants who are basketball nerds. Like, they see something once and it's in their mind. But Huddle's been great for me because I can watch it. It takes me 3 or 4 times to watch a set to figure out exactly what. So Huddle scouting's been huge for us. And it's been a very teachable moment with the kids now, because we can actually clip things, especially out of bounds plays. We can clip a whole bunch of them together and say, here's their box set. This is what they normally do. And they have some clever players. When you take this away, this is what they're going to do. So scouting has definitely been a key thing for us in recent years. But obviously, you got to make in-game adjustments because you don't always scout the best teams, especially over like a Christmas break. Teams put new things in like we've done, and you're not prepared for it. So we rely on a little bit of both. But it has become easier with Huddle.
Got it. Yeah. The thing you mentioned about being able to watch a bunch of games in a row is way easier and way better than it was when I was at Camp Hill, for example, because Huddle wasn't big. Crossover was still kind of in the mix, and you still had to go out to places, which, man, oh man, thank goodness that doesn't happen as much anymore.
Hey, really quick, I got to tell you a funny story with the scouting. So before Huddle, so Reading's one of our big rivals, and I love playing Reading, and they have very passionate fans. But there were years before Huddle when I would go and try to scout, and it was kind of hard. I'd have to put a hat on, and
they probably giving you the business, huh?
Purposely, but they'd be like yelling stuff, distracting me, and just it was like chaos.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with that anymore. I can just go on Huddle and watch Reading film and not have to worry about people trying to get in my head or whatever.
Yeah. That's funny because I'm pretty sure anybody who will come across this and understands that rivalry and how it is up in Berks County, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised that happened to you,
Yeah. Listen, I kudos to them. Like, that fan base is insane.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I know 10 years ago, the same people who were yelling at me as a player at Wilson, they're still at the games at Reading. It's very unlike any other school that I've been around.
Yeah.
Mostly Wilson fans are parents of our players and students, and then when their kids graduate, you don't see them anymore. Reading's different. They love hoops. Yes. They may not have anyone ever in the program, but they're at every game. They're traveling to Altoona for state playoff games. Like, it's pretty impressive.
They packed the Giant Center back when they played.
They pack everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
hey, it's pretty special place.
This episode is being brought to you by My Jersey Designs. If you're looking for digital replica jerseys, go to myjerseydesigns.com and they'll take care of you. I want to get back to, you were talking about defensively, you had a seasoned group last year, and now you have a younger group this year. What principles do you absolutely not compromise on, no matter who you're playing and no matter what your personnel is?
Listen, it's pretty simple for me, and I've told kids this from the day they've met me. I don't care that you scored 30 points a game in junior high, or you had 40 in an AAU tournament or whatever. If you're not going to be able to defend somebody, we can't play you. And again, for a lot of reasons, like, you're going to have nights where you're not going to put the ball in the basket. We need to be on the positive end of plus minuses with every player for us to be successful. You're scoring 30, but you're giving up 26 at the other end. You scored 4 points for us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right. So
that's one thing that I will never get away from at all. And the other thing is just team. Like it's a team philosophy. Like, yes, I understand that your guy may not have scored. However, I put you on their weakest player, and your job was to help a little bit more on, it's got to be a team thing too.
Yeah.
You can't be pointing a finger at Johnny because Johnny's guy gave up 12, but 8 of those 12 were you were not in help when he needed it.
Right.
So just those two basic things that you got to be able to defend, or I'm not going to play you.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I was thinking about open stance and some technical aspects without giving away too much. But philosophically, do you feel like you're more force weak hand, force sideline, kind of a diff?
Well, we're definitely not force sideline. I've never. So our scouting reports, we talk about, and again, I got to be honest, like it's 2025, almost 2026. With all of the trainings that kids can do today and advantages, kids have advantages today you and I didn't have. I couldn't go to this guy to work on shooting or training, or I didn't have a trainer at the gym when we just didn't have those things back then.
Yep.
The fact that there's still kids that at the varsity level struggle with their weak hand a little bit. So we do take advantage of that, but we don't force sideline. My goal is with teams is we played a team the other night that I thought was a pretty good shooting team. And our goal was to get underneath their shooters' legs early. So we want to pick guys up full, and it's not to get beat. And that's what's been the hard thing with our young guys right now. They're a little overly aggressive, and we get beat, and we're scrambling from the start. My goal is to have them turn the point guard as many times as they can. To force them, it's crazy, but you'll have a kid dribble off his leg or off his knee because we keep turning him and whatever. And, one of our other things is as he's busting his butt, turning that guy, that we want to be up in the passing lanes a little bit more. And then when we get steals, we know who really did the work. It was the guy that was guarding the point guard. So, yeah, we're not real big on forcing sideline or anything.
Okay.
In our half court, though, Wayne, we're different from other. We played 2 teams in the last 2 weeks who force baseline. We don't force baseline. We force middle because that's where most of our help is with how we're open.
Got it.
So if you see us getting beat baseline, we're not doing our job.
Got it.
Like, we don't want to get beat on baseline. And then we do harp on, I've kind of chilled out a little bit. I was a little loud when I was younger coaching. I try not to get worked up as much anymore. But one of the things that does work me up, though, when we get beat with guys' strong hands, when we preach it to them, hey, this guy's right-handed. Don't let him beat you with his strong hand. And then we do.
Yes. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating. It is.
Yeah.
But again, these are young kids. Again, and we're here to teach them. So they are going to make mistakes. It's just hopefully they don't repeat them.
The teaching part, how much do you think being a great defender is technique and how much do you think is effort? It's
both, but I'm going to go with effort over everything.
All right.
It's effort. It's in here. You got to take it personal. And that's one of the things I try to stress to kids. Like, I'm not a my bad guy. Like, your guy scores, we know it's your bad. But it has to be personal. Like, if you score on me, that's got to bother me a little bit. And if it doesn't, then we got to find somebody else who wants to take on that role then. But effort's definitely a big, huge thing with us. But also, you can't get away with technique. Like, technique is huge. We spend a lot of time on Wayne with closeouts. Again, with our open stance, if I'm going to be on the right wing again with the backboard behind me, when I'm closing out on that right wing, I'm closing out with my right foot and my right hand. Because our philosophy is if I close out where most teams are closed, I'm taking an extra step, which is a millisecond. But, the higher level you get, those split seconds is a difference between a guy getting a shot off and not. So we work a lot on closing out. And I talk a lot about spacing because I do think that is the number one mistake that high school kids make defensively is just spacing.
Spacing defensively? Yeah,
like too close to the ball handler. The guy has his dribble. Why are your hips up against his?
Gotcha. Okay.
You're asking for trouble because if that guy with the ball is a good player and an intelligent player, he is going right off your hip and getting a foul on you immediately. Again, if you get 2 fouls early, most coaches you're going to be sitting. But I do think spacing. So we talk about spacing a lot and closing out with hands. So those are the things that we practice. I try to do those, if not daily, every other practice, we work on those things. As silly as it sounds, we work on defensive slides with cones. That's typically how we warm up every day. And again, a lot of that is just physical stature of some kids. We have some kids who just aren't flexible, and so we work on that. We try to get them to open up their hips a little bit. And like at my age, like I would struggle with defensive slides just because of my hips and lack of mobility and whatever.
You talked earlier about you were strictly man-to-man, and you didn't like to switch, and sometimes you do, and you do a little zone, but not really. What determines when you'll change defenses?
I've evolved totally. We have colors for our defense. And our regular defense, where we're not switching anything, we call it green. Which,
by the way, you don't have to give all of the secrets out. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Like it's
you are who you are.
Still got to play the game.
Yep.
I mean?
Okay.
You still got to play the game. But so I've evolved in the fact that our kids know that when we're on our standard defense, if I get hung up on a screen, I am going to initiate a switch, and we just got to communicate it out. So they have. So in the past, they didn't have that. They didn't have that opportunity. Like it was come hell or high water. Like you're getting through that. But now they have the opportunity to switch when they need to. But it's one of those things too. Like I think if a team scores 2 or 3 buckets in a row, it's a good time just to change it up, just to give them a different look. Last night we had a good run where I think we stopped them 3 or 4 times in a row and got some easy transition buckets. They called timeout, and we switched to a trap out of that because we knew they were talking about what we were doing. So we kind of switched it up on them. But sometimes it's random, sometimes it's depending on who we're playing. And again, with personnel, I have 2 bigger young kids who I'm trying. They're going to be very good for me. They're just a little slow of foot yet. They're both about 6'5" as sophomores. So sometimes when they're in, depending on who we're playing, we may go to a zone a little bit just to make it easier for them a little bit and to give the other team another look. Yeah.
You said out of the timeout, you switched the defense because you knew that they were probably talking about what you were doing.
Correct.
Do you always do that out of timeouts? Because I know some coaches, that is their thing. Like out of a timeout, we are not okay.
No, it's not always.
You get a feel.
It's a gut feeling sometimes too.
Yeah.
And like I got great assistants. The other team calls timeout, and I'm not even paying attention to it, and they'll say to me, "Hey, their best 3-point shooter just came out of the game. This might be a great time for us to go to the zone."
Nice.
Because as a player,
yep,
I was a pretty good shooter.
Yep.
I loved when teams played zone. I thought it was easier for me to get shots off. So,
right.
We do that. Like, if certain guys are off the floor, we'll go zone because they have some guys in there that aren't very good from behind the arc. I give a kudos to my assistants. They're really good at seeing those things. They're good at getting me not to be so stubborn at times with my old school habits. But that's how I was raised as a basketball player.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to break those habits when you were successful in high school and college doing those things. But it has definitely helped our teams with me being a little bit more open with us doing those things.
I think it's important that you mention your coaches. Kudos to them for being such a great resource for you. But also for any coach that's watching this, whether they're a head coach or not, the head coach is only as good as the people he has around him, he or she. So, yeah.
Listen,
yes.
I sorry to interrupt you. I can tell you with no hesitation, I have 3 assistant coaches right now that know more basketball than I do. They call themselves basketball nerds.
Yeah.
Like they love X's and O's and all that other stuff, and that's not my forte. And I think it's just a great mix. And I think if I had advice for any young coach who's starting, you got to get over your ego a little bit. I pretty much don't run the offense. They do. I'll obviously dictate what we're doing, but they're the ones who come to me with all these different things. Hey, we'd like to do this. And then they'll show it to me and I'll be like, yeah, no. And I am not a dictator. Like we have, when I say arguments, we argue over guys playing time, sets we should run, what we should do against this team. And we, as a group, we iron it out and we come up with a plan. It's not like I'm telling you everything we're doing.
Right.
I listen to them. They know more than I do.
I'm sitting here, and before we started recording this, I said I'm good. I'm in a good space. Like I don't miss coaching at all. But just talking to you right now, I miss my staff. Like I miss the dudes that that helped to build a really good program. And so, yeah, man, I don't think assistant coaches get enough credit, the good ones. So shout out to all you really good assistant coaches, especially ones that that helped me
Hey,
create success.
this is not to gloat or whatever, but every accolade that I've received, like Coach of the Year or whatever, I make a point. So the local guy who does all the plaques and stuff down here, I know. His name's Roger Stafford, does a great job. But as soon as I find out, hey, congratulations, Coldren, you won, whatever, I'm calling him and I'm saying, hey, listen, when the BCIAA calls you about a plaque, I need you to get a plaque for these 4 assistants because we got the award. It's not me.
Man.
So every Coach of the Year award that I've received, they've received because it's a team effort. It's not me.
That's awesome.
We need each other.
Yeah. Man. Woo. Okay. All right. Let's bring it back to.
You should come coach with me, Wayne.
Listen, coaching. No.
Hey, so I want to tell the listeners. So
yeah,
the first time that Wayne and I actually met was at a Dickinson basketball camp. We took our boys. It was an overnight camp. And I remember the first or second night we were out, just getting Wayne we called him Little Wayne.
Yes, of course.
I mean, he might have been in 4th grade. Mike Keegan was in like 4th or whatever.
Yeah, Wayne was super.
Grade.
He was younger than that, but yeah. Yep.
But I don't know if you remember, I was like, yeah, you should move to Wilson. Like, you should move to West Lawn.
I remember because you never let me forget. Like, every year, because I wasn't coaching high school at the time. But even as a high school coach, you're like, man, come on, man. Just come up to Wilson.
I remember when we played you in a playoff game at our place, I think Wayne was in junior high. He was like the ball boy. And I was like, yeah, Wayne should come down here. There's a lot of nice homes in West Lawn.
Hey, PIAA, no tampering or anything. Like, there's no.
I was trying to get you, Wayne.
I know, that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah,
but we don't. Because I mean, Wayne was not projected to be a really good basketball player at that point, anyway. So, but yes,
he was.
Back then, I don't know.
Listen, when I met his mom, I knew the genes that he had, so I knew he was going to be good.
Yeah, because it wasn't me at all. If you've gotten this far, please hit the like button so that we know that you appreciated this episode. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the platform that you are receiving this podcast. We very much appreciate it. So, pressure, full court, half court, is it more about creating turnovers, tempo, or something else?
It depends on who we're playing. So again, like last year, I thought I was pretty athletic. I had some dudes, Tom McFadden, who's playing Division I soccer, Maddox Gruber, who was playing at Widener before he tore his ACL in his first college game, which stinks. But we were pretty athletic, so there were teams that we would play that I knew we were more athletic, so it was about turning them over. But like when we played like you guys, a little different philosophy because I thought you were bigger and a little bit more athletic than us. So it was more about just containing and maybe trying to wear out your son a little bit, Wayne, because, he was the go-to guy in our book. That was the guy that we thought if someone was going to beat us, it would be him. Mm-hmm. So again, a lot of it is who we're playing and what personnel I have currently. There's some things I'd like to do this year. Mm-hmm. But with us being so young, again, I'm cautious with overwhelming them with things because we're still trying to get them to get really good at the basics. And don't get me wrong, if you would have told me we'd be 8-2 at this point with this young group that I've had, I'd be like, no way. So they've done a great job, but I still think we could be I'm not a guy who's not going to be happy until we shut somebody out.
Right.
To me, that's when you played great defense. Like they didn't get a bucket.
Yeah.
And I know that's very unrealistic, but I think if you don't strive to be better every day at your craft, you are selling yourself and your teammates short.
Yes.
You should never be satisfied.
The big question around all of this is, do you think a team can be elite defensively without pressing?
Yeah, without doubt. Yes. The goal is to not let the other team score. So it's a bad example, but I would love someday, and I may have it coming up. We have 2 6'5", 6'6" sophomores who I don't think are done growing. We have a kid who's going to be in 9th grade next year whose dad is 6'7", so hopefully he follows that. But I always think about those days back when Syracuse would play that zone.
Yes.
And they were so effective because when you got dudes on the floor that are 6'7", 6'8", and their wingspan, you can cover so much ground. So I think that would be I would love to be able to do that someday. it's hard in high school. You don't usually have kids that are 6'6", 6'7" across the board and whatever.
Yo, so you're in schools, right? As your job, like you're an educator?
Yeah.
Well, I have PTSD. You keep saying 6'7", and you know what that's like in school.
Hey, I work at a junior high, so like
oh, it's even worse.
Yeah, 6'7" is the thing.
Oh my God, you kept saying it. I'm like, Hopefully the people watching this are like, what are y'all talking about? No, so I think everybody knows.
So I actually don't work at Wilson. I coach at Wilson, but I used to teach at Muhlenberg, which is a neighboring school district. But 3 years ago, I took a dean of students job, which I really enjoyed, but it gives me a chance to 6'7". Like I get to mess with kids all day long, like in a positive way. Like I just love interacting with them, but I pick up on all their little nuances that they have, and
it keeps you young. I feel like that stuff keeps you young.
Yeah. So they'll be doing TikToks after school, and I'll quick jump in the background, and I'll tell them that they should thank me later because I got on more likes than they would have had before.
There you go.
But it's all good.
But that's funny. If a young coach, you said something about 2 young coaches earlier, but if a young coach told you they had 30 days to improve their team defensively, where would you tell them to start?
That's a great question. I think the first thing you got to do is convince them. That's the hard part. And I get it. Kids watch TV, and they all have hopes of being a Division I player playing in the NBA. But it's a mindset. Like I don't think kids understand the importance of playing good defense.
Yeah.
Listen, you and I have played college. I have been defended before where the guy didn't have to say boo to me. Mm-hmm. And when the game was over, I knew he was good. He didn't have to tell me.
Yes.
So I do think it's a mindset. So that's where I would start first. Like they have to understand the importance of defense and why we want to do this, and get them to understand, like, you're going to have nights where the offensive end, every team goes through it, where you just can't put the ball in the basket. But you got to be able to keep yourself in a game. And if you're just letting teams score at will, you're never going to give yourself a chance. But I think I would start with that. It's got to be a mindset first. And then you got to have basic principles and make sure that those kids know those basic principles. And I'm not saying our principles are the best. They just work for us.
Your principles are really good, bro. Like,
there are teams that we've played that have different principles that gave us fits too. It's a matter of your kids buying into your principle and you working at it. I'm not sure how many, especially young coaches, practice those things. Yeah. I venture to guess that probably 85-90% of their practices are on offensive things. And my question to you is that why is it not 50-50?
Right.
Because in a game, you're playing half the game defensively and you're playing the other half, defensively. Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm sitting here thinking when you say other schools or other coaches have a different philosophy and gave you fits, I'm always fascinated to watch you guys play Chambersburg. Right, because Coach Scheffler is another one of those coaches who I highly respect from a defensive teacher.
Great coach.
Yeah.
Sean's one of the best.
Yeah, man. Which, as I'm doing this, I'm like, man, I got to get him on here because I'm curious to hear about how you guys are similar, how you are different. But
I can tell you, he forces baseline because he talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, having coached against both of you and having to deal with him all the time, like, oh my gosh. Coaching against Chambersburg is crazy, but I know that the philosophies are different in certain aspects, but the toughness that both of your teams have, the being on the string, like that stuff, I think is transferable. So yeah, Coach Scheffler, I gotta get you on here.
Yeah, he's a good coach. Toughness is one of those things that you can teach. You talk about toughness, like you can teach kids to be tough. I don't think it's certain drills that you do. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a mindset. Listen, basketball is a physical sport. I mean, like, you're going to get hit, and you got to encourage them to get back up, and you'll be all right. But there are certainly teams that we play that we know, like, when we go in, it's going to be a dogfight, because they're taught to be tough.
Yeah, and why we would schedule you guys knowing that we have Chambersburg on our schedule twice a year is beyond me. But
again, a lot of our scheduling, Wayne, like I seek, and again, I thought it was going to backfire on me this year because of how young we were, but we seek top programs. Yeah. You got to. You're not going to get better playing teams that you're going to win.
Right. Yeah. Because you're not preparing. Like you for me, because I mean, I'm rolling my eyes, but we always did that. Like we're trying to play the best that we can play every game, because if ultimately we want to create success at the end of the season, you have to figure out where your challenges are early in the season.
Yeah.
So. Totally.
Listen, I've been around long enough to know, traditionally, District 1 has some great teams down there in 6A.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been trying for years, without mentioning names. There were a couple that we played a couple years ago.
Yes.
And then when you beat them once or twice, they drop you, and it's frustrating. But, we were able to pick up Abington and Penwood this year to play, which,
different kinds of teams, too. Like those two, at least from what I remember, those teams are different the way they play.
They are. And, that's one of the other things I look for. Back years ago, we put Harrisburg on the schedule because that was the best way for us to get ready for Reading.
Yes.
Similar athletically, they come up and get you full court, try to overwhelm you, get you to turn the ball over. So I think the more that your kids can experience those different things to help you in league play, the better off you are. Because, yes, you may drop a couple of those, but if you take care of business in your league, you're going to make playoffs. You're going to make the districts. And I'm a firm believer, too, in districts. Yeah, it's nice to have a top seed. It's all about matchups.
It is.
It really is.
Yep.
So whether you're a 7 seed or a 2 seed, the only advantage of having a 2 seed is you get to play at home.
Right.
Which years ago you didn't. Everything was neutral years ago.
Yeah.
But COVID changed all that. Now we have neutral. Now we have, you get to host and so forth.
Until the end.
But that's the other advice I have for young people. Don't be afraid to go out and challenge your team.
Yes.
Again, it's the only way you're going to get better.
That is, yes. I wholeheartedly agree with that. After 25 years as a head coach, what has coaching defense taught you about leadership beyond basketball?
Man, you get these deep questions, brother. You know what? This is not, again, I've evolved as a coach so much. I was so much about winning when I first started coaching. And I do want to win. Don't get me wrong. I don't like when we lose. But to me now, it's more about the experience that the kids have, which has in turn turned into relationships that I've had with kids that used to play for me.
Yeah.
I have players that are in their 40s and 30s now who have children, and I love when they come back to visit and they're still calling me coach. Their kids are calling me coach, and I see how successful they are.
Yes.
And I'd like to think that I had a teeny tiny help in that success by teaching them how to be disciplined and tough on the basketball floor, because life's not easy. Getting a job today is not easy, and dealing with people in your job. Just my goal now is to prepare them for life. It is. And I want them to have memories, though. And one of the things I do say to kids all the time, though, the more you win, the more memories you have. No one has great memories of losing all the time.
Right.
But it really is about just preparing them for life. Not to give up. And hey, guess what? We got our butts kicked last night, but the sun's going to come up tomorrow. How are you going to react tomorrow? You're going to have a bad day at work. I'm going to have a bad day at school. Mm-hmm. But the next day, I can't let it linger and carry over. I got to come in and make this a new day better, and just keep trying to improve.
Man, this coaching thing it's so gratifying when you can do those things. I don't know that coaches get enough credit for the building of human beings that they should get if they're doing it the right way. Wins and losses take care of themselves when you do those things.
They do. And it's not a cliche. They're I tell my kids that I coach, and the kids my kids at home, but I tell them as much as I can that I love them, and it's not just fake words. I do. What they do for me in my life, they impact my life. I'm super grateful for them. They keep me young. I have a kid right now, Michael Glover, who is he's going to make some college football coach very happy in 2 years. But I just see how he trains and he takes care of his body, and that's what I want to do. So he's a constant reminder for me. I need to eat right. I need to get to the gym. I can't skip the gym today. And just their enthusiasm every day. I love being around them. They keep me young.
Great.
So they bring so much joy to me. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for them.
That's great. I appreciate you taking the time, man. I think there's a lot that coaches at every level can take and apply from this conversation. And I can't thank you enough for being here.
I can't thank you enough, first of all, for being a friend. You've been a great friend over the years. And I know we haven't known each other since we were in high school or anything.
I know.
But you know what? There are times when I think about it, I wish our paths would have crossed at KU.
Early. Yeah.
I wish we could have been teammates at KU. I could have fed you the ball.
That would have been nice. Which, by the way,
took charges on the guys that were giving you
that were giving you problems.
Yeah.
Before we go, just so everyone knows, he was there before me. So he looks great, but he's older than me. He's older than me.
No, I'll be 55 this summer. I don't like telling that. Yeah. You know what's funny? Like I don't feel old, but when I say that, I'm like, man, 50.
Man, double nickel.
And I know like my kids bust my butt about my hairline all the time and everything else, but
it's all good. It's all good. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. We'll talk when we sign off. But thanks again.
Yeah, and again, people tune into his podcast. Loads of information. Seriously, I wish I would have had this as a young coach, having a podcast to listen to like this.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your shout out. Everybody, we'll see you.